Let's review. We are 3 months into the third decade of the 21st century. 3 months. That's all. And so far, half of the planet has been on fire. The other half, that being the half I live in, has been underwater. The entire planet is under siege from an apocalyptic doom bug that means we can't go outside. Our political leaders who are dealing with these catastrophes are still knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing imbeciles. And if you dared to think that your 2020 couldn't possibly get any worse, well, there's a new What Now video. Good evening. Yes, good evening, my gruesome little people, and welcome back to the much belated and not exactly missed What Now AuthorTube channel and writery literary shenanigans. Somewhere a bell tolled, somewhere a clock that no one was watching struck an hour that doesn't actually exist, and it was time to get back into this whole thing. But ye gods, why has it been so arse-gnaringly, bollock-bustingly long since the last video? I hear literally no one cry. Well, there's been a couple of things, and so what this is, before I get on to anything of any significance, importance, or interest, is I'm going to do a little retrospective of what happened, a little bit of an updatey thing about where I stand right now, and then I'm going to go on to what's coming next. One of the things you may have noticed just straight off the bat, so it's worth mentioning, is I clearly have a new What Now cave. And among the benefits of this, it means I can stand up to do these things. I can walk around, I can jump, as you just witnessed. I can walk over here, and then I can walk over here, because now I have the luxury of space, which means I'm going to end up being significantly more animated than I usually was in my old sedentary position. I can work off some of this nervous energy that is the only thing keeping me alive at the moment, but all of this animatedness seems to be going into my hands. I am arriving at Jack Sparrow levels of animatedness in my outer appendages, so watch out for that. But you're not here to watch a man slide inexorably over the precipice into another inevitable psychotic episode. Well, I know two of you are, but that's not why the bulk of you are here. We're here for a little update thing of what's going on with What Now. So this video is going to split into two parts: the what happened, and then the what's going to happen. Here we go. So, October 2019, things seem to be going reasonably okay in the whole little world that I occupy, I think. I was doing a collaboration series with another AuthorTuber, Calamity, and it went, 2 of the videos out of the 3 went very well. And then something happened. Well, actually a couple of things happened. Chief among them was I was finishing my master's degree, and finish it I did, in spite of everything else, but in order to do so, everything else went out of the window, this channel included. But I passed. In fact, I passed bloody well, all things considered, given the circumstances. So that was eating up more or less all of my time and focus, and then I was fitting in Masianda's collaboration videos. But the big thing was, the house I was living in, long-time viewers remember, the one that was on a main thoroughfare, so there was traffic, constant traffic all the time, every time. Yeah, one day an estate agent turned up at the house and said it was being sold. My landlord had just decided to sell the house and not alert the tenants, and had to get the fuck out of there as quickly as possible. So that occupied the mind. Frankly, he was a low-down scumbag, and I will see him in court. At the time, and for the time being, it was just necessary to pack up everything and get the hell out of there, which is an exciting position because, well, reasons that don't really matter right now. That's what happened there. So in essence, stress replaced oxygen in my atmosphere for a good couple of months, and it wasn't until comparatively recently that it started to die down. I do well with stress. I'm one of those creatures who requires a certain amount of stress. I think I've said this before, but like a deep ocean fish, that if there isn't enough pressure, as they come close to the surface, they just sort of... It's a good noise, that, isn't it? You remember What Now, the AuthorTube channel? Yeah, what happened to him? All of that is of exactly no interest to any of you, but it is at least an explanation if any one of you, plausibly one of you, because Lord knows my subscriber count is going up. God knows why. Nice to have you here. New people, new friends perhaps, yes. But it may be of interest to some. Here's the thing that's really interesting as regards the AuthorTuber community. Are you ready for this? Are y'all ready for this? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, all. I finished my fucking book. Nay, not only did I finish the damn thing, I flogged it. I sold it. Well, kind of. And now we move on to a subsection of our part 1, part 2 scenario called What Happened with the Agent. As long-time viewers will be aware, I have spent the last 18 months, 2 years, working more or less non-stop, with the exceptions of the now defunct MA course, on a book, on a sort of build-up mosaic novel. Well, actually, I'll get to that part in a minute. Called The Dead Meat Sextet. Is an example of weird fiction, black comedy, horror. It's been an absolute nightmare to try and pin down to a single genre for reasons that will become very clear in a moment. But the point is, I finished it. It had 6 distinct episodes. There was one overarching story told in 6 different episodes, each with their own genre, thematic structure and writing style, and I got an opportunity to pitch it, to take it to an agent, and it was an agency I was aware of, which was bizarre, because Lord knows there's so many of them. The idea of one that you actually know coming into your immediate orbit, and by that I mean in the city I live in, is an incredible feat of good luck. So I saw the opportunity, submitted, got accepted. You had to send in a writing sample, which was something like the first 3 chapters, or in my case, the first 10,000 words. And I got accepted on that. And in December just gone, along I went. Oddly enough, I actually made myself look semi-attractive, or at least somewhat like a human being for the occasion, because I hear potential employers enjoy that. And what is a pitch with an agent if not ultimately a job interview? I think that is the correct mindset to have, because it may have occurred to you that when it comes to talking to people and the whole human being society thing, I'm a little bit off. But along I go. It's in the Adelphi Hotel in Liverpool, and anybody from this part of England will find the idea of having any kind of literary or high culture meeting in that particular hotel to be particularly hilarious. I can't really express why that's funny to my majority American audience, but trust me, if you ever come here, you'll see what I mean. And I wait, and there's a couple of agents there. Oh, here's the thing for that some of you may find interesting. This chap who read my writing sample and wanted to meet me was a literary agent within a larger agency who specialises in and is actively looking for science fiction, speculative fiction, horror, fantasy. Like, that's actively what they're looking for. And not just YA either. Adult, speculative fiction. Not a case of, I will tolerate this. He wanted it. That's as rare as rocking horse shit. that's hen's teeth. So I was not going to turn down this opportunity, and I went in and I had my pitch all ready. Didn't need to use it, but I hear that that's quite a regular occurrence in these kinds of things. So there I sit and we have a conversation. Nice guy. We have a little bit of a conversation, my background, my education, where I'm from, what I've done, etc, etc. Nothing that wasn't in the cover letter. I think maybe it was just to make sure that I was who had sent. Maybe it was to weasel out possible ghostwriters. I don't know. And then he brings out the part of my manuscript that I sent to him. No red pen on it. Interesting. Not even any of the annotation things you get on Microsoft Word. It was just there. It had clearly been read. It was a bit crumpled and whatever, which was amazing. I still sat there with butterflies in my not insubstantial gut, thinking, my God, this fella read my story and thought it was good enough to actually come, what is it, from about 400 miles north to talk. That gave me a good feeling. And he said, I love your writing, which gave me an even better feeling. He said, I love the style, I love your dialogue in particular, I love your characters. You've got a real niche in the market. Weird fiction is doing very, very well at the minute, and this just made me feel, oh, letting all these years of work and struggle let it come upon me. And then he said, but. And when he said but, I said, and it's only recently I've stopped making that noise so I could make this video. He said, all of that notwithstanding, the problem is they're short stories. And I said, they're not short stories. And he said, but they are. And I said, they're not. And he said, they are. And this went on for a while. And given I had a time-specific slot, I really shouldn't let it go on for as long as it did. But I said, no, it's an episodic story and was an overarching. And he said, yes, I appreciate that. But if I take this to a publisher, they'll just see first-time author short story collection and they'll throw it immediately out the window. No publisher will buy a short story collection from a first-time author. I think Daisy Johnson might disagree, but that's neither here nor there. First book, a second book, first novel, was shortlisted for the Booker Prize. Some people have all the fucking luck. But I didn't say that. I wish I'd said that, but I didn't. You will be happy to hear that I was calm, cool, and collected with the whole thing, while inside I was just going... I've lost my train of thought. I've distracted myself with bat noises. So, nodding away dumbly as if I was okay with all of this, I said to him, is there anything you can recommend? I mean, I was looking at 2 years worth of psychosis-fueled work, just about to go in the shredder. I couldn't emotionally bring myself to desk draw. You can't see that mime. To desk draw another manuscript. I didn't think I could do it. So I said, is there anything that could be done? And he said, well, you should turn it into a novel. I've written novels before. Up until about 2.5 years ago, I'd never written a short story before. I'd done this completely back to front. So I thought I'd found a nice little middle ground with this episodic novel. But they were very distinct. They had, as I say, totally different characters, totally different outlooks, totally different writing styles. So inside of me there was a balled up, screaming child just saying, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't be done. It would have to. It can't happen. Meanwhile, my outer self was saying, oh, yeah, I can do that. This is because I hate myself. And I said to him, well, if I do that, the absolute impossible, can I send it back to you? And he said, yes, you can. So I shook his hand and I left the room, cock of a bloody walk, so absolutely confident, leaving no doubt in his mind that, oh yeah, this is a minor snafu, this is no problem whatsoever, give me some time and I'll sort this out. I think I smoked 7 cigarettes straight in the following 5 minutes outside the hotel. Bearing in mind, I hadn't signed anything. I wasn't contractually obliged to do that. Nothing was going to happen to me legally or financially if I didn't do that, but I'd sort of made a promise to myself. I sort of dared myself, and I'm my own worst critic, worst enemy, however you put it. So I'd basically agreed to, the example I've used is, I'd built 6 houses next to each other, and someone came along and said, yeah, I like that, but make it an apartment block. And I'd agreed. So that was in December. I spent the whole of the Christmas holiday and into the new year just staring blankly into space, having generally no clue on how I was going to do that. It's impossible. I don't know if you've ever tried it to, I mean, when we edit things, we can look at changing the dynamic of an individual character or the dynamic between 2 or more characters. We can make adjustments to either exaggerate or understate some thematic point we want in there. We can play with the setting. We can play with the linear structure of it. But this was a total reconsideration of the fundamental foundation of the book, to take it from something horizontal and make it vertical without losing anything. And I didn't know how to do it. So I've done it. It took 4 months. That's including the time I spent just staring at the wall, but I finished it, and it ruined my life. It took everything from me. I haven't spoken to another person properly in about 4 months, but I refuse to be beaten down by that. I have a terrible habit of just taking on projects that will ruin me, because I won't be happy unless I actually die from overwork. That's the only way I can see myself leaving the planet. So another reason why this channel hasn't really existed is because I've been working on the book that I said I would be using this channel to document the creation of. Sorry about that, guys and gals. The next one. In fact, we're coming to that. So, yes, where were we? I'm now a master of creative writing. Got sort of evicted, kind of. It's a grey area. Moved to an actual nice house that isn't rat infested. Got this lovely white wall that projects my shadow magnificently. Finished my book once. Had an informative introduction to the world of publishing, traditional publishing that is. Finished the book the second time, and given that I'd written a book without really knowing what I was doing, despite the massive amount of debt I'm in for having studied this goddamn subject, I then thought, well, since I've done that, I'll move on to another one of my dreams, creative outputs, which I've never had a go at and have always wanted to, which is filmmaking. I've always wanted to make films. I've always wanted to be a film director as well as an author. So a couple of weeks ago, I made a short film with absolutely no idea of how to do it, and I think it shows, but it looks like this. It will be on this channel once myself and my friend who I made it with have agreed on a final edit with some audio issues that need to be settled, but other than that, it will be on this channel and all the other little filmic things that I do from then on, which we'll come to in a second. So, I'm now a master of the art, finished a book twice, new nice house with considerably less traffic noises, you may have noticed as we're going on. It's nice, isn't it? Had a little go at filmmaking, which will premiere here shortly, and now we can get on to what comes next. Or indeed, what now? Moving forwards, always moving forwards, forward momentum all the time, because if you don't, the demons will get you. So, what now? Well, there's a couple of things, because I am, as I say, determined to drive myself face first into a pit of utterly consuming stress and overwork. I'm in a pretty exciting place psychologically at the moment, and the only thing that actually keeps me focused in any great degree are lining up projects and always going, because Lord knows the the job market in this country is pretty much non-existent, and rather hideous discriminatory laws in that regard, so always have to keep going. And the first one, in no particular order, is I am working on my PhD proposal. I found a PhD course that caters to my particular branch of academia rather nicely, and remarkably, it's the University of Liverpool. It's the university slap bang in the centre of my city that, odd for a red brick university, specialises in science fiction for its post-grad work. Would you believe it? There's a couple of reasons I want my PhD. One is because academia is something I've wanted to go into anyway. It's something I can do, so might as well find a job in it. And I want to write non-fiction as well as fiction. In order to do so, in order to be taken seriously anyway, you need a qualification. You need to be able to show that you know what you're talking about, so that's one reason. The second is I'm not content at being the master. I want people to call me the doctor, just for a little while anyway. But first and foremost, I need it to work, because do you remember that master's degree I mentioned earlier? That one that the majority of my AuthorTube experience has been based on. The MA course that is the reason this AuthorTube channel exists in the first place. Yeah, totally fucking worthless. When I started the course, when I was accepted onto it, it would have counted as my teaching degree. I would have been able to teach, it would be the equivalent of one of this country's called an NVQ. I would have been able to teach in colleges. I would have been able to teach in universities. I would have been able to teach and tutor English as a second language and things like that. But halfway through my course, they changed the law. So in order to do that, I now need the PhD as well. As I say, I was always going to take it anyway, but now that I need to do it, I'm feeling a little bit about the whole thing, you know? Try spelling that. In the comments below, try and spell that exact sentiment. There's a lot of fun noises in this episode, isn't there? I told you I was in an exciting place. What else? I have started a new book. I've started a novel that I've wanted to write for a very long time. I should have been working on a few months ago, but the impossible rewrite overtook everything else. Usually I'm working on 2 or 3 things at any given time, but the novel version of A Dead Meat Sextet overtook everything. But now I can work on this novel. I'm in the research stage of it at the moment, and I intend to do what I didn't do for the last one, which is I'm going to be keeping a video journal, or at least making episodes about how I write a book from start to finish. So if you're a particular fan of my bewildered, wandering black and white escapades, in the coming weeks and months there will actually be some writing to go with it. And speaking of shit going on this channel, I mentioned earlier about the little film I've made. Well, when that's cleaned up and in a position where we feel comfortable showing it to people, that will be going on this channel. We have at least 2, maybe 4 other shorts that we definitely want to make and have worked out we can make with the very, very limited resources we have at our disposal. So as well as writery thingies, as well as my particular journey towards literary nonsensical non sequiturs, pseudo profundity, there'll also be little films that I make, certainly holding up my half of a collaborative project with my friend Luke. So we've got at least 2, possibly 4 shorts we want to do, and we're also working on the idea for a feature, which I'm actually very excited about, but Lord knows we're going to need a lot of help in order to do that, so things are moving in that particular direction. What else? Started writing my first D&D campaign. Been playing it for ages, and now I'm going to have a go at being a DM, so... Oh, do you think there could be room in the world for like an online AuthorTube Dungeons & Dragons thing? I can be your fat and creepy Matthew Mercer for AuthorTube, couldn't I? I've ran this by a few people, and I've got an idea for an AuthorTube show that I will be doing on here. It's called What Now's What If, and it's a sort of, it's somewhere between Whose Line Is It Anyway and those agony ants you used to get on daytime TV. I don't know if you still get them. There'll be an announcement video for that once I've worked out the kinks of just how to do it. But it involves you, the audience. You will be involved. You will be making this content with me. It will be collaborative. That's as far as that goes. New novel, new films, writing journals on this channel. It's no coincidence that the second I said I wanted to write a Dungeons & Dragons campaign that coronavirus kicked off, which gives me one hell of a segue. The word has lost all meaning. Segue. What with the world ending in what is probably the most disappointing apocalypse we could ever have imagined, a gang of AuthorTubers are running live streams so that quarantined writers around the world can still feel part of that collective and that communal spirit. And for some reason I have been invited to be a part of it. It is the realization of this that has led to this video existing, because it's been pointed out that my channel is looking rather like any high street in Italy right now. Is that joke a little bit beyond the pale? Who cares? This is what now. It's what we do here. Yes, there are, I think it's going under the hashtag of AuthorTube House Party, which I think Mr. Partridge came up with. It's marvellous. I'm a big fan of it. And for some reason I'm involved and will be doing live streams for the duration of the crisis as part of my attempt to make people go outside just to get away from me. And guys, this is like a real deal. I mean, these people are real AuthorTubers. This is like famous people in that regard. We've got Darcy Saluna's doing it, A.S. Howe's doing it, Savvy is doing it, Lara Field is doing it, all manner of wonderful and incredible people. And me, like a fat bearded Beetlejuice just turning up in the middle of it all. So I will be trying to work out exactly what the hell you put into a live stream, and I will be doing that to lend my hand from this damp, cold little island to ease your way through your quarantine weeks. Won't that be fun? You'll be begging for respiratory problems by the end. I can promise you that. Guaranteed. Money back if not. So, to sum up, I've got my big, beautiful white wall here, and this can be used for all kinds of things. It can be used for projecting fantastic shadows. I may put things on it that are at least tangentially to do with what I'm talking about. I could lean against it provocatively and, you know, get a bit of a fandom going, but beyond all of that, because it is slightly provocative, but provocative is okay. Provocative is exactly what this channel is all about. Well, no, not really, but the important thing is, there is an idea now. There is stuff that will happen on this channel, because over the course of this little experiment, some people have been incredibly kind. Some people have been incredibly encouraging, incredibly enthusiastic for reasons I don't thoroughly understand. Usually about my voice. My voice is usually what comes up in it. And I really just want to play Scar and The Lion King is really what I'm here for. But that not forthcoming, I'll do AuthorTube instead. And do it we will. There'll be live streams to somehow fight coronavirus. I'm not exactly clear on that point yet, but I will do it. I personally will defeat coronavirus for you, and then you will have to buy my book. You will have a behind the scenes of my new novel, whether you like it or not. And yeah, what can I say? Manic episodes are a hell of a drug. If you are lucky enough to get one, hold on to it. Make a video while you're in one. It all goes down incredibly well. I need to tidy up this channel, but this is just a little updatey thing to let you know that I'm still alive, if any of you even noticed that I was gone. Good evening.